The Great War cometh, boys, and with it, a huge resurgence in the unstoppable green tide that is the Orcs. G-Dubs has opened up many a door for us lads, especially with our snakebite cousins, the Beast Snaggers. And let me tell ya, sticking with the old ways and running nothing but them snagger boys in competitive games might just be one of, if not the best options us Orcs has as of now. And today, I was gonna let you lot in on how to run the Big Hunt Detachment in games of Warhammer 40K. Let's get into it. Listen up lads, welcome back to the Daily Crumper, and today I was going to teach you lot about the Big Hunt Detachment. Gonna let you know what it does, including the strats and enhancements. Gonna let you know which units shine in said detachment. Gonna throw a list example at you, and then I'll hop into Tabletop and show you how I'd run the army in game. And let me tell you, with the latest balanced data slate and the updates that some of the units got, particularly ones that you would run in the Big Hunt, this detachment may not be so bad anymore, lads. But let me show you why. So, the Big Hunt detachment ability is called The Hunt is On. Says at the start of your command phase, select one monster, vehicle, or character unit from your opponent's army. Till the start of your next command phase, that enemy unit is your prey. And what happens when you declare a prey target says that each time a Beast Snagger unit from your army declares a charge that includes your prey as one of the targets, you can reroll the charge roll. And each time a Beast Snagger model from your army makes an attack that targets your prey unit, improve the armor penetration characteristic of that attack by 1. So, basically the gist is, you choose one unit specifically of monster, vehicle, or character variety, and then any Beast Snagger keyworded units, so not just the Beast Snagger boys, it's anything with the Beast Snagger keyword, so that's going to include your Beast Snagger boys, your Beast Boss on Squigosaur, the Squighog boys, and of course your Kill Rig and Hunter Rig. So all of these units are going to get better at fighting that one unit you target. If you think about it, it's similar to how them Beaky Gits have that Oath of Moment ability, where they get reroll hits versus a certain target. Instead, us lads get reroll charges and extra AP into said target that we choose, which is pretty good. Some things to note about this is it says here, when you declare a charge that includes your prey as one of the targets, you can reroll the charge roll. So, due to this wording, that means if you chose to do a multi-charge, say you wanted to charge into something particularly meaty, like an enemy vehicle that doesn't want to be tied up in combat, but it's a little bit too far away. Say you're fighting against them fishy git Tau Gits, and they've got some big hammerhead in the back that you want to get at, but they've got some stealth suits or fire warriors or whatever they're called in front of them. You can choose that chaff unit of stealth suits as your prey target, but still declare both them stealth suit gits and the hammerhead as a charge target. So because one of the units you chose was your prey, you will still get to reroll charges into both targets. So if that hammerhead's a little bit farther away, say it's an 8, 9, even 10-inch charge, well, with the reroll, you might be able to get into it now because of this little handy rule you get. And then when it comes to the second ability, that be improving your AP by 1, it specifically says attacks that target your prey. Doesn't mean shooting, doesn't mean melee, it's both of them. So even though you're going to be running a lot of melee-centric units, the Beast Snagger boys, Squighog riders, even the rigs, just remember that all of your shooting attacks are getting that buff as well. So being able to maybe soften up your target with a bunch of slugger shots or some sticker throws with that extra AP should surely help you take down your prey target even easier. So all in all, pretty decent rule, not much to complain about. So next up we've got the enhancements. First one up is Glory Hog. You see it's 30 points. Says Beast Boss on Squigosaur model only. Models in the Bearers unit have the Scouts 9 ability. Now this is huge. Your Squig bosses definitely want to be in melee crumping gits as quickly as physically possible. So giving these lads Scout 9 allows you to get up into the midboard right out the gate. So coupled with their 10-inch movement means that them gits is going to be getting in a fight real quick. For 30 points, however, is pretty pricey, but again, since the Squig bosses went down in points in the latest data slate, it means even with Glory Hog, you're looking at 140 points for that package, which is still perfectly feasible points-wise. And it specifically says models in the Bearers unit, meaning that you don't even have to have the Squig boss leading anything. You can just have a solo boss by himself with Scout 9 if you really want to. So lots of flexibility, is pricey, but I definitely say it's real good. Next up we got Proper Killy for 15 points. Beast Snagger model only, add 1 to the damage characteristic of melee weapons equipped by the bearer. Just makes your gits even killier, as it says on the tin. Real nice, it's only 15 points, it's still pretty cheap. Make your beast bosses on foot have 3 damage flats. Your beast boss on Squigosaurs, make them 3 damage flat. And it says +1 damage to all melee weapons. So a beast boss on Squigosaur, this would be benefiting their big kill chopper plus the Squig mount as well. So getting +1 damage on them gits is also good. So yeah, good enhancement. Next up we got Scrag Every Stash, 25 points. Beast Snagger model only. At the end of your command phase, if the bear is within range of an objective marker you control, that objective marker remains under your control even if you've got no models within range of it until your opponent controls it at the start or end of any turn. So this effectively gives your Beast Snagger character the sticky objective rule, which now this rule is also on our basic boy units, and that is a very good ability. Typically I run at least 1 squad of boys to at least be able to sticky some objectives, at the very bare minimum sticky my home objective before the days run off. But with this enhancement, you can effectively give your Beast Snagger boss that's with a squad of Beast Snagger boys the normal boy rule in addition to the Beast Snagger rule, for cheaper than what you would need to purchase an additional unit of boys. So if you look at it that way, you can save some points by running this enhancement. So not bad. And finally we got Surly as a Squiggoth for 20 points. Beast Boss on Squigosaur model only. While the bearer is leading a unit, each time an attack targets that unit, if the strength characteristic of that attack is greater than the toughness characteristic of the unit, subtract 1 from the wound roll. With 20 points, a little bit on the pricier side, and I found that it is very situational. So, says specifically while the bearer is leading a unit, meaning that you have to run Squig Hog boys alongside the Beast Boss on Squigosaur, because that is the only unit Ace can lead, and the Squig Hog boys are toughness 7, which is already pretty high to start out with. So meaning the only time you're going to benefit from this is if you're getting attacked by weapons higher than strength 7. Which, don't get me wrong, there's still plenty of them. I mean, Plasma comes to mind, and Plasma's everywhere in the game. So when you're getting shot at, it helps a lot, but I found a lot of times when you get into melee combat, a lot of units are hitting you with strength 5, strength 6, strength 7 weapons, and anything that's above strength 7, strength 8, 9, or 10 are usually very low volume of attacks, Or nowadays, you have plenty of melee units that either have lance or some other way of getting +1 to wound, which does get around this ability. Or they just got something like anti-infantry, anti-vehicle, I guess not anti-mounted, but some other keyword that allows you to just wound easily anyways. So I would say this is the only one that is definitely on the lower end of being useful. Still not terrible, but personally, I'd leave it at home. Next, we get on to Stratagems. First up, we've got Drag It Down. Happens in the fight phase, 1 CP. 1 snag a unit from your army that has not been selected to fight this phase. Till the end of the phase, melee weapons equipped by models in your unit have the Sustained Hits 1 ability. In addition, each time a model in your unit makes a melee attack that targets your prey, critical hit is scored on an unmodified roll of a 5+ instead of only a 6. So what this does is effectively 1 CP makes one of your snagger units act like they was in Warhorde, because the Warhorde detachment just gives you Sustained Hits 1 in melee. And Warhorde also has that stratagem, Unbridled Carnage, to allow you to get critical hits on 5 instead of 6s as well. So it's like a 2-for-1 stratagem, except in the big hunt. Now you have to be attacking your prey specifically for the crit 5s, but even without that, give in a big squad of beast snagger boys with a beast boss, Sustained Hits 1, with all them attacks, especially if you war for the extra attacks, means you're getting a lot of leverage out of that Sustained Hits ability. So very good. Always can see myself using this about every turn, as long as I'm in melee, of course. Next up, we got Unstoppable Momentum. 1 CP in your charge phase just after a beast snag a mounted unit from your army as a charge move. Select 1 enemy unit within engagement range of your unit and roll 1d6 for each model in your unit. For each 4+, that enemy suffers 1 mortal wound to a maximum of 6. If that enemy unit is your prey, roll 3 additional d6s. Now this one's really good, especially if you're trying to go into a prey target that is a particularly tough as nails to kill git. Whether it be some big knight, or a Catan Shard, or a Land Raider, or a 10-man Terminator squad, whatever it may be, you know, gets with good armor saves and good invulns. So being able to force a bunch of mortal wounds onto them gits, particularly in the charge phase, will help you just pour on lots of damage. It is specifically only for mounted units, so meaning only your Squig Hog boys, and use Beast Boss on Squigosaurs. And it does matter about how many models are in your unit, which means it's going to incentivize you to run larger squads of gits to use this stratagem on. But I do think it's very good. If you have a Squig Hog boy squad, you run up on some unsuspecting git prey unit, chuck a bomb squig at them, charge them, use Unstoppable Momentum to pour some more mortal wounds into them. Oh yeah, shoot them by throwing your sticks at them in the shooting phase with the extra AP. And then finally get to the fight phase when you get to crumple them to death. It's a really good 1, 2, sometimes even 3 hit punch to get them gits out of the table. Next up, that one's even bigger. 1 CP, your charge phase. 1 beast snagger unit from your army. Till the end of the phase, your unit is eligible to charge in a turn which it advanced or fell back. In addition, you can re-roll charges made for your unit, provided one of the targets of that charge is your prey. Now this is real nice, lads. 1 CP for fallback and charge or advance and charge. This is particularly good because typically orcs can only advance and charge on the turn that you use called the war. But being able to do that outside of the war is invaluable, lads. Like we talked about with the enhancements, you give a beast boss on Squigosaur that Scout 9 ability. So they scout 9 inches, they move their 10 inches, then potentially advance, and then 1 CP, charge another 2d6 inches into whatever gits you chose as your prey, re-roll the charge roll, Turn 1, right out the gate. Being able to use this whenever just increases your threat ranges by a whole lot. And it's going to get in your opponent's head as well. If you let them know, hey, I do have a 1 CP advance and charge strat outside of the wall, that's going to make them unsuspecting lads have to really think about where they's positioning their gits, or else they might get charged when they ain't suspecting a thing. So this one's fantastic. Next up, we've got Where Do You Think You're Going? 1 CP when you're in your opponent's movement phase just after an enemy unit ends a fallback move. 1 Beast Snagger infantry or Beast Snagger mounted unit from your army that was within engagement range of that unit at the start of the phase. If your unit is not within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units, it can make a normal move of up to 6 inches. Reactive moves are always good, lads, and flat 6 reactive moves are even better. This one does have some particulars though. It's not usually reactive moves are whenever something gets within 9 inches of you. This one is specifically if something falls back from your unit that was in melee with it, which because of that, it makes it a bit more niche, but still good to have in the toolbox. Being able to use that if you're going into something like Imperial Guard, which is natively a shooting centered army, and you tie up a tank or something, they fall back to tanks so that way the rest of the tanks can shoot your unit. You go, nope, I'm going to move 6 inches and hopefully get behind this terrain piece so that way you can't see me, or just move behind this wall if I'm an infantry unit so that way you can't shoot the piss out of me, lads. Pretty good, niche, but nice to have. Next, Stalking Tactics. 1 CP your opponent's shooting phase just after an enemy unit has selected its targets. 1 Beast Snagger infantry or Beast Snagger mounted unit from your army that was selected as a target of 1 or more of the attacking unit's attacks. Till the end of the phase, each time a ranged attack targets your unit, models in your unit have the benefit of cover against that attack. In addition, if your unit has the infantry keyword, till the end of the phase, models in your unit have stealth. So this one, I would probably only use Stalking Tactics as like a last ditch effort to try to keep my lads alive. If I'm playing like Taking Hold or any primary centric mission where I need to have my lads stand on objectives in the middle of the board and survive, say it's turn 4, turn 5, and I need my like 5 to 6 man wounded Beast Snagger boys squad to survive on an objective in order for me to score primary and potentially win the game off of it, then I might use this, particularly for the stealth ability, because in today's 40k there's just so much terrain on the board, and how the benefit of cover from terrain works in 10th edition, it means 90% of the time your lads are going to have cover anyways. So again, really you'd just be using this for the stealth ability. So if that's the case, it's not terrible. Again, it's a nice to have, but I'm definitely not going to be using this very often. Finally, we got Instinctive Hunters. 1 CP end of your opponent's fight phase. 1 Beast Snagger unit from your army that is not within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units. Remove your unit from the battlefield and place it into strategic reserves. Again, this is a nice to have in the toolbox kind of strat. If it's later in the game and you've found that you haven't pulled a couple secondary cards that require you to be in certain table quarters to do actions or whatnot, say you haven't pulled a engage or an established locus or behind enemy lines or something like that, and again you have a random wounded Beast Snagger unit somewhere on the table that has just finished crumping the kits that were in that specific zone, well, what you can do, pop a CP, put them lads back in reserves, that way next turn you can pop them back in to do an action, or to just be in a different part of the table to then start moving towards fighting some other gits that might have been too far away from where they was before. So nice to have, not probably going to use it very often, but in certain situations, might just win you a game in certain spots. So not bad. Alright, so next I've got a big list here for you. So this is a list for the Big Hunt Detachment. It is 1995 points. What I've got is count three beast bosses on foot, one of which takes the Scrag Every Stitch enhancement in order to stick to your home objective. Always running 2 beast boss on Squigosaurs at their nice cheap 110 price, one of which I gave the Glory Hog enhancement for that 9-inch scout move. I also got 3 10-packs of Beast Snagger boys to run with them beast bosses, 1 squad of grots to be cheap, fill up the backfield, give me CPs, 1 5-man Stormboy squad. Usually I would run 2, but with my next unit, the 10-pack of Commandos, and their big new fancy rule, letting them split into 5-man units before the game starts, now that second Stormboy squad that I would typically put at the front of my deployment zone, to then be able to move into the middle of the table for a turn 1, area denial, establish locus, extend battle lines, whatever have you. Now, you've got 2 5-man commando squads to fill that same sort of role. You can have 1 5-man infiltrate onto your natural expansion objective, or maybe start threatening your opponent's natural expansion objective, and then the second 5-man can take that spot posted up in the middle of the table to be able to be ready for that turn 1, again, establish locus, extend battle lines, whatever. So that leaves the other 5-man Stormboy unit just to go into deep strike, to be able to come in later in the game for a behind enemy lines, establish locus in the opponent's deployment zone, recover assets, whatever it is you need. So after them, I've got 2 6-packs of Tank Busters. They still really good, even at the 140 point price point. And the main thing being they just fill that niche that the Orc army needs as it is. Because most armies, particularly melee armies, want to mech up. Mech up meaning, similar to what we do in Orcs, if you take a big juicy melee squad, like some Beast Snagger boys at the Beast Boss, Knobs with the War Boss, or just regular boys, you're not going to want to run them on foot, because they'll get caught out in the open. Maybe you won't be able to have a couple guys hide in some terrain piece, and they'll just get shot off the table before they make it to melee. So what you've got to do is you got to put them in a transport that's preferably small and quick, allows you to zip between ruins and stage up in your perfect spots in order to, in a later turn, hop your melee boys out and go charge into and presumably crump whatever it is they get into. The Orcs do that, World Eaters do that, Emperor's Children do that, Beaky Space Marines do it, even your Human Guard does it, damn Spiky Elf Drakari, the whole army is about doing that. Again, so many armies want to mech up in transports. So if we hop out with a big melee unit and want to go charge some unsuspecting gits that we want to get removed off the table, well, it's going to be hard for us to do that if all of them are hiding in their big tin cans. That's where the Tank Busters come in. Tank Busters blow up the vehicles, so that way the juicy meat on the inside has to spill out onto the table, and then your Knobs, Beast Snaggers, whatever it is able to then charge whatever comes out of it. So that's why I'm still running 2 packs of Tank Busters. Next, I've got 2 5-packs of Flash Kits. These mainly going to be in there for chaff clearing, because the big hunt, you're going to want to run a bunch of Beast Snagger type units. There aren't very many Beast Snagger units that shoot very well. Actually, none of them shoot very well. So the Flash Kits are going to be there to try to get rid of screens or just some other cheap shit-munching unit that's sitting in a corner of a board that you don't want to send a melee unit all the way over into the corner to try to fight. So that's why they's there. I am running 1 4-pack of Squig Hog boys, mainly just so that way the Glory Hog Squigosaur has some gits that he can roll up the board with. Particularly, I still wouldn't run Squig Hog boys because, again, 150 points for 4 of them gits, and that they're still only AP 1 on all of their melee weapons. And the pigs hit on 4s now. Don't get me started. There's so many bad things with that unit. But if you're gonna run them, the big hunt is where you're going to want to run them. Because then they finally get what they need, which is AP2 melee weapons. So 4 Squig Hogs plus a Beast Boss on Squigosaur with Glory Hog means you have a pretty expensive brick that's 290 points, but that brick is Scouting 9, Moving 10, potentially in advance, then charging something. The Squig Hog boys can chuck a Squig Bomb on the way. You can use that unstoppable momentum to do some more wounds to a target. It means that you have a pricey package, but still a good package that will be able to kill whatever your prey target is turn 1. So that what it is there. Then I've got 2 kill rigs. I'm pretty high on kill rigs now because they did get the big buff of being AP2 with their saw blades, which is their main weapon they use. And they're still really cheap for 155 points. But the main reason I'm not running 3, and in this case might even consider dropping 1 to run only 1 kill rig, is because they're just so zogging big, lads. They's on a night base, and on top of that, the way the model is built is at the 2 points of it, the front and back. On the front, you have the big Squig mount. It has this giant metal horn piece that sticks out a good inch and a half outside the base that it's on. And then on the back, you've got the Weird Boy in the Word Tower that sticks out on an angle off the back of the base. Also, again, 1 to 1.5 inches off of the base. Now a night base just by itself is typically around like 7 inches wide, but add the pig horn and the Word Tower, you're looking at this kill rig being probably like 9 to 10 inches wide at this point. And it just makes it so sogging hard to hide, lads. I definitely struggle to hide them. And nowadays, if something is able to be seen on the table, it will get shot and it will die. No matter whether it is a Land Raider Redeemer in cover with smoke and armor contempt, or just a 10-pack of boys, you know. No matter what it is, if it is seen, it will be shot and killed. Which is why I wouldn't run any more than 2 kill rigs, because of it. Just too big. So, as a result, the third transport we have for the Beast Snagger boys is just going to be a typical truck. And yeah, that's the list. I think this is pretty good. I would run it if I was to run the Big Hunt competitively. It's got a lot of cheap chaff units to throw around to do objectives. It's got some big hammer units, the 3 Beast Snagger squads of the Beast Bosses. It's got the Glory Hog Squig Boss with the Squig Hog boys. Even the normal Beast Boss on Squigosaur to just run out and be a big distraction git. And be a pretty tough individual character for 110 points. It's not bad. So yeah, let's head on over to the tabletop and I'll show you how to run this in-game. Alright lads, welcome to the table. So today, as you can see, that I've got my list all set up, the Beast Snagger boys of the Big Hunt Detachment. And today's we's facing off against the Beaky Gits of the Blood Angels. If users wanting to follow along at home, this is Mission L of the current tournament Chapter Approved Compendium, and this is G-Dub Chapter Approved Layout number 3. So, I've got me Gits all lined up right here. You can see I've got me commandos split up. I've got 5 of them sitting here in the middle, ready to hop out 6 inches into the center to do whatever objective they might need to be turn 1. The other 5 main Gits is over here, ready to hop right up against this wall here to be sitting on this objective and still hiding outside the line of sight. We've got me Glory Hog squad with the Squig Hog boys over here on the right flank alongside this truck with the Beast Snagger boys and the Beast Boss. Up here we've got our 2 big kill rigs. This one here is full of Beast Snaggers and a boss. This one is empty. That being because our 3rd squad of Beast Snaggers is hiding back on our home objective. And that is because this Beast Boss here has that enhancement, the Scrag Every Stash, so this squad will be sticky in our home objective, And then turn 1, they will hop out of this ruin into the kill rig, and the kill rig will then move up and do whatever it is it needs to do. We have a second squig boss sitting right here alongside these kill rigs. It's just going to move up with these lads as kind of like a secondary punch in case one of these two kill rigs needs some help. Over here, we've got one pack of 5 flash kits on the left flank, ready to come up into our natural expansion objective, try to screen out this area of the board, and probably try to come up against these 5 scout marines that infiltrated over here. Also in our backfield, we got our 10 mana grots. Once these beast snagger boys will vacate, these grots will fill up their spots and spread out as much as they can to try to screen out my home field objective. Over in Deep Striking Reserves, our only Deep Striking unit is the 5 pack of Storm Boys. Again, these is going to try to come in later in the game and do some secondary objective for us. And in Strategic Reserve, we have the 2 packs of Tank Busters, as well as the second squad of Flash Kits. The reason I put the Tank Busters in Reserves most of the time is because 1, I don't have the transport space, and I can't afford to buy another transport for them. But also, I don't know where my opponent is going to end up with his vehicles. So being able to wait for a later turn and just pop these lads in somewhere alongside one of the battlefield edges of the board and hopefully get line of sight into a vehicle. In this case, they could come in here and then maybe shoot that dreadnought, if it were to stay there, obviously. But, you know, it just allows you to get line of sights much easier than if they were just, you know, deployed somewhere in the middle of your board on foot. Same thing with the flash kits. If my opposing git tries to screen out my big kill rigs with, say, these scouts, then maybe I just wait a turn to put these up in the middle of the board, and instead just have the flash kits come in like here, shoot them scouts, and if they needed help, then maybe these commandos would help out. Yeah, they're just pretty good at clearing chaff units or doing some weird kind of charge shenanigans. They also serve as just being a cheap corner trash unit to throw out to skirmish into the midboard if you don't want to commit one of your big heavy hammer targets. So that's why it's good. And then of course we got the gits in our transports. On the Blood Angel side, they've got 2 5-man scout squads that we already talked about. One squad is scouted over here towards our natural expansion objective. Second squad is here in the middle, ready to go into the center. We have an Impulsor full of Blade Guard veterans with a Judiciaire, which gives them fights first, so dealing with them is going to be a little bit difficult. We have a big 10-man Death Company with Jetpack squad with Lamartis. He gives them the -1 damage. So that is going to be pretty tough to deal with. Over here on their flank, we've got a Ballistic Dreadnought tucked right up against the corner. We got a 3-man Sanguinary Guard squad with big Commander Dante, 5 JPIs, the Jump Pack Intercessors. Over on this flank, we got another 5-man JPI squad and another Ballistic Dread. On their home field, 5 Intercessors to stick you their objective and screen out. And in Deep Strike, they've got 2 additional 3-man Sanguinary Guard squads and the Sanguinor to hop in and heroic intervene into boys. So with this particular matchup and how I deployed, first up with these 2 kill rigs. So as I was talking about in the list portion of the video, look at how big these Zoggin things are, lads. Like, again, if I measure this base out, it's anywhere from 6 to 6.5 inches wide for a knight type base. But it's more than that. You see, the base ends there, but then this big word tower sticks way out here, all the way to this yellow handlebar thing. And then the front, you got the Hog Rider, almost his whole head is off the base. It sticks out, you know, for about 1.5 inches. So if you really measure the big length of this thing, you're looking at back here to that metal bar, all the way up here, that's like 10.5 inches wide. It's really zogging hard to hide these things, lad. I tried to do the best I could. I mean, right here, this lad's safe from, you know, this line of sight here from the midboard. But even then, like, if this dreadnought moves up to like there, you could probably still see this kill rig. This one for sure could move up right there, and then boom, he's got a line of sight to both of them lads, just because they stick out on the ass end so sogging long. Now, kill rigs are pretty tough. I mean, one ballistic dreadnought's not going to kill them. Like, they could, but most likely it's not. But still, this is, as you can see, probably the biggest weakness of these big kill rigs, is that they're just so sogging big and hard to hide. And you know, the best defensive tactic you can use to keep your units from being killed is just to not have them be targeted in the first place. You can even have something super tough like, you know, again, the 10 Terminator brick that is meant to just take punishment from shooting attacks from your opponent, but if they're not getting shot in the first place, you're guaranteed to not take any damage. You know, that's just how that works. I, for one, would much rather just not get shot at all than be having to try to take saves on my big rigs turn one, where potentially I have not even been able to move or do anything yet. And if you contrast, over here, this is our truck. So our truck has 10 beast snaggers with a beast boss in it. Same thing as these kill rigs, or at least the one. So they're both carrying the same amount of dudes in it, but the truck is just so much smaller, such a smaller profile. Over on this right-hand flank, I was able to hide 4 beast squad, 4 Squighog boys, the beast boss on Squigosaur, and the truck full of gits, all on this right flank. You see nothing from the opposing army is going to be able to see these lads, because it's hitting the terrain piece right there. That is the line of sight. They will not be getting shot no matter what. So with that in mind, again, these kill rigs, they're cheap, and they got a lot better with that update to their stat lines. But just how zogging big they are, that's definitely a reason why you might not want to take them. Or at least not 2, maybe just 1. If I would try to run a third one, I don't know where the zog I'd run a third one. I'd have to put it like right here where the flash kits are, and in that case it's way too far back. Or I run it here, but then its ass end is sticking out way here or something, and then it just gets shot down range by whatever it is the opposing gits are running. So yeah, it's definitely a detriment. So how I would run this game, lads, what my general game plan would be, is use my cheap chaff throwaway units to try to kill his cheap throwaway units. Now, one of our main plays that we can do here turn 1, now it is a ballsy play, but this is what the units have to do, is this big Glory Hog squad. So say we get turn 1. These lads can scout up there 9 inches. So right there. So he would move all the way up here. Then we'd go to the start of our turn, where we choose our prey target. Now, with the amount of movement this unit will get, we can realistically choose anything over here and most likely get into melee combat with it. And whether it's a good idea or not, that's a different question. But for instance, say we want to go after this Ballistic Dreadnought. So we mark it as our prey target, which means we're going to get an extra AP as well as reroll charges against it. This big Squighog squad is going to move their 10 inches right up there. And if they wanted to, they could advance and charge. On average, an advance is 3 to 4 inches. We'll just call it 4. So on average, they'd advance up to there. Now, the distance is going to be 7.3. So that's going to be a 7-inch charge to try to get into this Dreadnought. Now, we get free rerolls off of this because we chose it as our prey target. So a 7-inch charge is a 50-50. With a reroll, you're looking at like a 35 to 40% failure rate, so it's like a 70% chance of making it into combat. And just like that, turn 1, this big Smasher squad could be all the way in your opponent's face. Turn 1. Now, as we talked about, this is a pricey unit. This unit is almost 400 points. But with how our charge ends up, there's a lot of things we could do. Say we didn't want to charge the ballista, say we wanted to charge the impulsor. You know, we have a lot of anti-vehicle attacks here. We can use that to kill this transport, no problem, and then lock all of this up. Now, this is a bunch of melee units, which could probably punch us back and do a pretty good number on us. But if we can tie a bunch of lads up, or at the very least, say again, we charge into the impulsor and we took up all this real estate, say we piled into the scouts, killed the impulsor and the scouts, and then our big swig unit just ended up, you know, something like this. You know, tags the ballistic dreadnought, the impulsor dies, the blade guard vets get out somewhere over here. These two Squig Hog boys tap into the scouts and say they kill them. So that's 2 units dead. That is squad of blade guard out way back here, and these don't move very quick. You have a ballistic dreadnought engaged in melee, which means it's going to have to fall back and it won't be able to shoot or do anything unless the Blood Angels use that doctrine. Which actually, never mind, this is a Liberator assault group, so they don't have doctrines. And again, whereas this is a very pricey points investment of effectively throwing this unit away, because on the Blood Angels' turn, they will charge and they will kill this unit. Whether they need all of these kits to do it, or if they're just going to rely on the Blade Guard, the JPI, and maybe some shooting from like a Dreadnought or 2. But it's a lot of things they're going to have to dedicate to kill this big brick. And in the meantime, we can take the rest of our units, run them all up into the midboard. Because now that we know that our opponent is indisposed with that big Glory Hog squad, we are free to move up with all of these other gits and stage up or just try to get as close as they can to the Blood Angels lines, so that way turn 2, we can hop all the lads out, we can wall, we can hit them where it hurts. That is a very basic game plan. You know, if you're playing at a high competitive level and the Blood Angel player is playing at a high competitive level, this is probably not how this would go. Deployment would probably be different and you'd play a much slower, longer game. But in this particular scenario, if you're able to make this move, I don't see why you wouldn't just send everything and say, hey, I've got too many lads for you to deal with, because you need to focus on these gits because they're already right in your face. So pick your poison, because next turn the whole cavalry's coming at you, and on a war turn we should be able to pick up most of the opposing army. But you know, again, this is the ideal situation. At the end of the day, it is a dice game. Will this happen? Will your opponent make those specific decisions? Will you know to make those certain decisions yourself when you comes to this part on the tabletop? Who knows? But anyways, that's just a few tips and tricks from the old Crumper. And with that, that's all I got for you lads. I hope you enjoyed the video. I like doing these in-depth breakdowns and whatnot. Really, this one was recommended by a commenter, so thank you to that git. You know, I'm happy to engage with you all, and I love the recommendations or the fun ideas as for what content I should make in the future. Again, here's hoping for 11th edition to be the big edition for orcs. I'll have a lot of big spicy content for you lads, so here's hoping them rumors are true. With that all out of the way, thanks for watching you gits. Like, subscribe, share with your friends. I want to try to grow this channel as much as I can. So I really appreciate all the support, all the likes, all the comments, all the engagement. It's been really nice. So thank you all for that. This has been the Daily Crumper, signing out.